Hey everybody, I'm Ted from Tebex. In this tutorial, we are going to be setting up the SetHomes plugin for Minecraft, which allows you to, as the name says, set a home, which you can then later teleport to. We're also installing and configuring the Luckperms permission to make sure that everything is working correctly without having to give players full operating status on the server. And once everything is configured, we'll then go into Tebex and I'll show you how you can offer this as a package. So let's dive right in. So let's start off by setting up our Paper MC server. We're going to be using 1.16.5 because looking at the SetHomes plugin, you can see it has been updated to 1.16.3. I tested it and everything seems to be working fine in 1.16.5, and this is the latest version before changing to 1.17. On papermc.io, we're going to click on Get Started, go to the Downloads page, and then at the bottom, click on Legacy. Here we can download older versions, including 1.16.5. Just click here on Download anyway. Then we're going to download the SetHomes plugin by clicking the blue button. And we're also going to download Luckperms. And we're going to download the bucket version. As you can see here, it's also for paper. And then lastly, by going to server.tebex.io/plugins, we can download the Spigot version of the Tebex plugin, because once we have everything set up, we are then going to be using Tebex to add the players to the group that we created. Make sure you download the correct version. We are 1.16.5, so we're going to download the top one. If you have anything pre 1.13, you can see the versions that are supported down here. You should download this one at the bottom. For us, we're going to download the one here at the top. So we got our 3 plugins and we got our main paper server file. I already made a folder, so I'm going to drag the paper jar file in there, and then we need to create a start file for our server. So I'm going to say new text file or text document. And I'm going to be calling it start.bat. When we click away, it asks us if we want to change the extension. Let's click on yes. And now we should have created a Windows batch file. Let's right click on the start file, go more options and edit. And then on the official Minecraft.net webpage, we can find this command over here. So let's copy this and then paste it in our start file. And the only thing we're going to change is make sure that it points towards the correct jar file. So I'm just going to rename our paper jar file, copy the full name, including the .jar, and then replace this over here. So let's save. We can then close this and double click the start file. This should automatically download the vanilla file, patch the vanilla file to install paper, and then it should automatically close because we need to accept the end user license agreement. There it goes. So now clicking on the folder and pressing F5 to refresh, opening up the eula.txt, we can just change false to true to accept the end user license agreement. And then if we double click start again, it should now actually start up our server. But more interesting for us at the moment is it will create our plugins folder. It's done. Let's press F5 again to refresh. And as you can see, it created our world folder and our plugins folder. It also gives me a message that I'm running an outdated version of Java. For this demonstration, it's not an issue. Everything is working fine. If you're actually hosting a public server, I would recommend going to this post and following the steps. That way you have the newest version of Java, which is also the most protected and updated against exploits. So I'm going to stop the server by just typing stop and pressing enter. And then I'm just going to drag our 3 plugins into the plugins folder. Start the server again by double clicking the start.bat. And now it should automatically load our Luckperms, Bycraft, and also SetHomes, as you can see here. So let's connect to our server. Inside of Minecraft, make sure you have 1.16.5. We're going to go to multiplayer, direct connect, and I'm just going to type 127.0.0.1, which is localhost, and then click join server. One of the commands is /sethome and give it a name 1, and it tells me that I don't have permission to do that. One fix for this is just making ourselves operator, which is basically administrator or owner of the server. And that gives us access to every command that is available on our server, depending on what kind of plugins we have installed. If we do /plugins, it tells us we have Bycraft, Luckperms, and SetHome. This is fine if you're just playing solo or if you're playing with friends or people you trust. But if you want to have a public server, you definitely don't want to make everybody operator. So what we need to do is we need to create a group and just give that group the permissions that it needs. In our case, we're just going to demonstrate the SetHomes. If you have multiple plugins, you can of course attach more permissions to that group. And then we can just add a player to that group and it will automatically inherit all the permissions that that group has assigned. That also means that later on in the video, we can use Tebex to automatically add and remove players from that group. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make myself operator. I'm going to say op Tebex Academy, and it says made Tebex Academy a server operator, and I get the same message in game. So now when I do set home 1, it tells me your home 1 has been set. So let's open up Luckperms, which is our permissions manager, to start creating a group and setting up the permissions. So I'm going to do /lp and then editor. We can then click on that link, click on yes, and it should open up in our default browser. In order to trust this web browser and allow it to apply changes directly to your server, please run the following command in game. So we can just click it and it will automatically copy it to our clipboard, and then in chat just paste it and press enter. And now we have access to make changes. Going to groups on the left, you can see we have our default group, which is always there if you install Luckperms. So what we want to do is create a new group by clicking the plus over here. I'm going to call it homes, have the display name as homes, and I'm not going to parrot it to any group. I'm going to set the weight as 1. The higher the weight number, the more important the group is. I'm not going to be setting any prefixes or suffixes. If you want to do that, I will link to another video in the description where I explain Luckperms even more. And in that video, we also set up the prefixes. Then let's click on add group. It should be selected by default, but let's just click on homes to make sure that we are in the homes group. And then at the bottom here, we can add permissions. So looking at the overview, you can see that these are all the commands that we have and also all the permissions. It really depends on what kind of server you're setting up and also what kind of group. For example, the uhome off gives the ability to update other players' homes. This probably doesn't really make sense to give to everybody, but it does make sense to give this to, for example, a moderator group or an administrator group. So in our case, I want to do set home so players can set a home. I want to do home so players can teleport to their home. I want to do get homes so players can get a list of all the homes that they have. And I also want to do uhome to update their home in case they want to change the name or change the description. So just clicking here, typing home, we just need to find the ones that we need. If you are, for example, doing a admin group, you can also just assign the homes.star, which basically gives them all the permissions from the homes plugin without giving them full operator status. Let's also do delete home because I want people to be able to remove their own homes, get homes to get a list, set home to set a home, and also update to update their own homes. We can then click add to add it to the list, and then we click apply in the top right to actually apply it to our server. And in game, we also get a message that there has been 6 additions and 0 deletions, and it tells us exactly what has been set and changed. So we created the group, but we are not in the group ourselves yet to test this. So we need to add ourselves to the group. We have 2 options. One is through the editor. We can just go to users, click Tebex Academy, and then under parent group, we can add the homes group. This is super simple, but if you have a lot of players, you don't want to do this manually. You might want to if you really like the visual style of the editor, but I would recommend using commands. And we also need to figure out what the command is, because later in the video, we need that to use on Tebex. So what I'm going to do is go to the wiki, and we can see here, we can either set a group, which removes them from their old group and moves them to the new group that we assigned, or we can do add, and that way they can have multiple groups at the same time. Depending on how you're setting up your server and what kind of server it is, you can choose whatever suits you best. I'm going to use set in this demonstration, and here we can find the full syntax that we need. While we're still operator, I'm going to say LP, user, and then select myself. Parent, which is basically setting the group. And then in our case, we're going to actually set. And then you see that we have the 2 groups that we have created. So we're going to say homes. Our existing parent group has been cleared, and we now inherit the homes group. So to test this, let's deoperate ourselves. Deop Tebex Academy. So we are no longer an administrator. So if I try to change my game mode, for example, you can see I don't have permission. So I'm not operator anymore. If I now do homes off, it tells me I do not have permission. But if I do any of the things that we did give permission to, for example, set home 2, it tells me your home 2 has been set. Running over here and setting another home 3. We can also give it a description. This is my home. We now have 3 homes. So let's do /homes to list them all. And you can see it neatly displays all our home names, where it is in the world. So if it's in the Nether, and also if you add it, it will tell you the description. So it's super easy to see what homes you have and which one is which. And of course, we can also teleport to our home. So if we do /home and then the name of our home, for example, home 1, press enter, it will give us a countdown. And then we teleport to that home location. And if we want to, we can do delete home home 1, and it tells me that we now have deleted that home. Let's make myself operator again. We can press up and go through all the commands that we just used till we find the one that we used to edit our parent or our group. I'm going to copy this because we're later going to use it in Tebex. But before that, I want to change myself back to the default group. So we should not be able to do set home. Oh, I'm operator. I was confused. Let's de-op ourselves again. De-op Tebex Academy. Let's try again. I was like, I'm lying to you guys. We shouldn't be doing this. There we go. We do not have permission. So now let's go into Tebex and I'll show you how you can offer this as a package. So first of all, we want to make sure that the Tebex or BuyCraftX plugin is running. We already done this earlier, so I know it's running properly. Let's go to game servers on our dashboard and then connect your first game server. Select plugin and click on continue. Let's give it a name and then let's click on continue. We already have the plugin. We already have it in our plugin directory and running. So let's copy our secret key and then we're going to run that full command on our server. We can just right click to paste what we just copied. Press enter. It should tell us that it fetched the due players. And also here in the top right, you can see it says it's now connected. Let's click on continue. With our server created, let's go to packages, add new package. I gave it a name, I gave it a description, selected the category, and I also set the price to 0. It says set 3 homes. Later on in the video, I'll show you how you can set the maximum homes per group. For example, if you have multiple tiers of VIP or homes packages, you could offer a package that allows them to set 3 homes and a different package that offers a higher number than that. At the bottom, we're going to select game server commands as a deliverable, and then we're going to select our server, our home server or whatever name you gave it. And then let's add our first command. I'm going to find the command that we used and copy this again. You can just press the arrows to go through all the commands that you used. Let's paste it in here and remove the slash. And then instead of default, we want to set it to homes. And instead of our username directly, we want to use a variable. Clicking on help here, you can see that for Minecraft, it tells us to use the name variable. So this is the variable that we're going to use. So let's remove our name and then select the name variable. So when the package is purchased, it's going to automatically add the player who logged into our server to the homes group. And that's all we really need to do to make this happen. So let's click on create. In-game, if we try to do /sethome, home1, we still do not have permission. So we are still only in a default group. So let's claim the package on Tebex and then let's test the command again. Let's do a test payment. So let's go to payments and then payments again. Create a payment, fill in our username and then select our package, which is the homes 3. And then let's click on create and let's give Tebex a moment to automatically run the command. You can see that BuyCraft or Tebex has fetched the due players and it also found some commands and it changed our group to homes. In game, if we do /sethome, home1, you see that we are able to set our home again. By default, there is unlimited homes to be set. Let's quickly dive into the configuration for SetHomes and change the maximum homes you can set. Let's first of all stop the server. Let's go into our plugins folder, go into SetHomes, and then go into config.yml. Here you can see max homes and it says default group 0. What we can do is just press enter, type in our group name, so homes with a colon, space, and then the amount. So since I set 3 in our description and also in our title, I'm going to set it to 3. Let's then save this and close. And then if we restart the server by double clicking our start file, give it a moment and then reconnect. Now, if we do /homes, you see we only have 2 homes. We are able to set a third one, home 3. But if we try to do one more, it tells us we have reached the maximum amount of homes set. So once again, you can just add another group with a higher tier list or VIP group or homes group, whatever you want to call it, that offers, for example, 5 homes to be set, add it to the configuration. And that way you can offer different tiers of amounts of maximum homes you can set. Hopefully this was helpful. If anything is unclear, feel free to leave a comment down below. And as always, thank you for watching and good luck with your Tebex store.